Hello again. Today we're going to talk about how to install an Oracle client. Oracle works over what they call SQLNet, which is basically it rides on top of your network protocol, and there is a listener device that's running on the server, and its job is to listen for requests from clients. And so when you install the Oracle database, you install the listeners installed automatically for you, and then from each one of the workstations, you install the Oracle client, and then you point the client to the address of the server. In this particular case today, I'm going to be installing a client on a server. So I've got a 64-bit Oracle server here, and I'm going to install a 32-bit Oracle client. And that's so that the application will be able to run, because the applications that we're running right now will not run with 64-bit. Not yet. We have the tools, but we haven't installed them and tested them yet, and we still have some 32-bit customers out there. But thing you do is you go to your T drive, and you look for the 32-bit client in the directory, and I'm going to run it as administrator. Yes, I would like to do this. See if I can turn off that annoying thing at the top, and we're just waiting for the installer to begin. Now again, I think we talked about this with the Oracle server, that you'll get this environment does not meet minimum requirements. This never seems to be a problem. I think it has to do something to do with probably not being up to the latest version of what Windows is or something. Although this was all freshly downloaded from the Oracle delivery cloud, still, you get this, but it's nothing to worry about, or at least it's never proven to be anything to worry about. And so I'm going to go on. Now, this is important. You want to install as an administrator. Not exactly sure, be honest with you, how some of these other ones work, but I have tried the Insta client before, and it just absolutely is almost impossible to get it to work. And like I say, the other ones I haven't tried them, but I do know the administrator works, and also comes with some tools that are nice to have when we're trying to debug. It includes a management console, networking services, utilities, basic client software. So comes with a lot of stuff that's nice to have. We're trying to do, debugging of a particular situation. So we choose the administrator, and then of course, it's going to be English, hopefully. And then we're just going to let the application install where it wants to. We don't need to point this one at Oracle. We'll just let it install in its own place. Reason we do that for the most part is because we don't want to. There's a 64-bit client that's installed with the server already, and I don't want to take a chance on installing in the same directory. Although it probably would not install exactly in the same directory. I just don't want to take a chance on it. Another thing too, if you're installing a 32-bit client on this server, you would not have to, a 32-bit server, you would not have to come back and install a 32-bit client. So we're going to go next. But this is exactly the same procedure you would use if you were installing it on a client. And then it just gives you a breakdown of where we're going to put it. And we're going to put it there. And so we're going to finish. And I will see you back shortly. Okay, so when it gets finished, it says finished. And we're going to close it. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to come in and we need to run the netconfig application, net configuration assistant, right here. Let me see something. Let me make sure that we did get the right version. I want to make sure we don't do the 64-bit version. Oracle 11G client, home, server manager. Seem to be having a little bit of trouble with my mouse today. Okay, yeah, it's going to be this one right here, the Oracle client or a client home. And I'm going to go to the net configuration assistant. Yes. And so I'm going to go down to local name net services. We're going to add one. And we're going to call it ORCL is the service name of the database. ORCL, always the same. Case doesn't make any difference, uppercase or lowercase. TCP, and in this case it's the local host. But if we were on a workstation, then it would be the TCP IP or the IP address of the server. And yes, I'm going to perform a test. And I'm going to change my login name. And I can either use this one or I can go sysdba master key and test successful. So, and then the net service name is going to be Oracle 1. And we'll just go through there and finish up. Now, the only other thing we have to do now is we need to install an ODBC driver for the crystal reports that we still have. And to do that, you can go to the control panel and look to see under administrative tools, and usually you're going to have an ODBC 32 and an ODB 64 under the newer versions here. And of course we're going to use the 32-bit version. If you don't see this in here, then you can find it in your Windows directory under the syswow64 directory, and if you look for odbcad32.exe, then that is it right here, here, the application. And you can run it from here as well. I'm going to go ahead and run it from the control panel. So it will load up. And I'm going to add. We're always going to use the Microsoft ODBC for Oracle. We click Finish, and then it's going to ask for the data source name. That's going to be Oracle 1. It's going to ask for the description. I always just call it Oracle 1 as well. The username is SYSDBA, and the server is Oracle 1. So it's Oracle 1, SYSDBA, and Oracle 1. And we will add that, and we now are ready to begin using our TradeWinds application. In our next video, I will show you how to do that. But for the time, I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.